Part 1. My life is over as I know it. Long post. I'm sorry. I love my wife. We have a 14-month-old. My wife and I were always ride or die. She had a really awful pregnancy. Appendix removed at 12 weeks, serious international blockage at 15 weeks, COVID at 6 months, and had to briefly be in the hospital, and my daughter was born a month early. Through it all, I never left despite our issues. I lived at the hospital and briefly in my truck when I couldn't stay when she had COVID. Her post-pregnancy was worse. She suffers from postpartum depression. She changed as a person. She was admitted one night because she had intrusive thoughts. Turns out a lot of that was a side effect of the new medicine that she promptly taken off, and while it didn't completely go away, was much better. We've been through so much despite our issues. There were a lot of issues over the years. Big fights, but we always came back. The biggest issue was her overbearing family. They did not respect boundaries and never really liked me. We fought so much over them. 4 years ago, I told her I might be bi, like she was. She said I should go and explore that. She's always been open to that. After many times saying no, I finally did it at her pushing. We came up with rules and I followed them. It was just for sex, nothing meaningful. Most of the guys I hooked up with, I never saw again. I wanted to hook up with women too, but she said she's not comfortable, so I didn't. This whole thing stemmed from self-esteem issues of not having many partners before her. For many years she never jumped in. She said I don't need to, and I'm not interested. That changed a few months ago. We came up with the same rules. Biggest one. Transparency, and if the other side were no comfortable, then it stops. I always agreed to that when it was just me. We were supposed to do a couple swap with someone she knew. It became with my permission, just her and him. I said I wasn't comfortable, but after all she's been through, I love her, so I'll figure it out on the inside. She had a few brief hookups and then she met Nick. He came over several times and it clearly was getting serious. Wanted to go on dates, the whole thing. I told her I'm not comfortable with a boyfriend for her. Eventually I invoked the most important rule. She said no and continued despite that and swore it wasn't serious. Then I went through her texts. She cut me down to him, said he treated her better than I ever did in 10 years. Her souls have been searching for him her whole life, and would he get more serious if she left me? Then she said she wants a divorce when I found these texts. She said she's done trying, doesn't want to be miserable with me anymore, feels no romantic connection, and while she loves me, is not in love anymore and won't stop seeing him. I asked who is more important, him or me. She told him, and my feelings were not her concern. When I said this was agreed that in this situation happened, it's considered cheating. We swore on our daughter. She said she had basically decided a month ago she was doing this and never sat me down to tell me she was at this point. I'm devastated. She and my daughter were my whole life. She was supposed to be the one at my bedside if I died that way, and me her. I never would have thought this woman I love would do this or do it like this. I have no hope in my life, especially now when I move out. I won't see her every day anymore. I don't want to be relegated to weekend dad even if it does stay 50 over 50. I'm just crushed and have no hope, and I needed to vent. I'm sorry this was so long. TLDR, my wife of 10 years who I have a 14-month-old with is divorcing me because she doesn't want to work through problems anymore and has cheated on me. Edit. I'm getting replies that I read as this is my fault. Does anyone think what she did was wrong, breaking our agreement? I promised it was just sex, no relationship. She promised as well. When it was revealed, it was more than that. That's when she said she was divorcing me, just for added context. Reader comment, you opened Pandora's box and effed around and found out. It sucks. And this is why people should always be wary of what opening a door could do. Are there success stories? Absolutely. But those aren't the norm. However, I 100% would not move out. She wants the divorce, she should be the one leave. Original poster, this worked for years. I would not have done it. It's her family's house, so she won't leave. I guess no one thinks she handled this wrong and it's all on me. Reader comment, she handled this wrong too. The two of you were wrong by just opening this door and not realizing what could happen once this door was opened. People are allowed to change their minds BTW, which is why it's a tough type of relationship to navigate, and without truly understanding what this can possibly do to your relationship. Original poster, the worst part for me is she hid it and did it behind my back. If she was forward about it, then it would hurt, but not like this. Does it make sense, Ike, if I'm explaining my feelings correctly? Reader comment, you're devastated. You slept with many men while married to the mother of your child. She found another guy that she really likes and who probably would never sleep with other guys. If they were your world, you would have never entered into this arrangement. What a effing mess. I hope you can figure this out. Original poster, absolutely not true. It's not black or white. You had permission to have sex with someone else does not mean my priorities or focus wasn't on them. Please do not judge me without knowing how I feel. Story 2. 10 years with fiancé torched in 5 minutes. Sorry for the long post. I appreciate any input or advice. We have been together for 10 years, and I proposed to her 2 years ago. I got diagnosed with ADHD 2 years ago. We've had an interesting relationship and have explored swinging and poly. I say this only because I feel it adds context. Months ago, she said she had been invited to a conference in the States, and I was encouraging and proud of her. She hasn't traveled much, and the group is one she does a lot of work for as a volunteer. Once on her trip, communication became very limited and sporadic, which raised a flag. I found out that there is no conference. They do have one, but it's in another state. Lol, when I confronted her after 3 days, she continued to lie. Finally, she told me that she is there with women she met here and have a Discord group. Apparently, these other women paid for her trip. The lies continue, and all I ask for is honesty. When she returned home, she continued to stick to her story and actually put me on the phone with some woman that claimed she was with her. I explained that if I don't get the truth or proof of this story, she will have to move out. She stuck to her story and after 2 months moved out. With much time on my hands, I started to search Reddit to get answers because she won't give me any. I found her profile. She's a member of many subs that I would have never expected, but ironically not a member of ADHD forums where she claims to have made these friends. Since she's moved out, she comes to visit 3 minutes 4 times a week and is putting an effort in. We have discussions and are very intimate. I feel as though she is working on herself and things are headed in the right direction. All I would like to hear is the truth. The cheating that I suspect is not really an issue for me, but the fact that she will lie to my face is what really creates distrust and bothers me. Basically, she could have told me what she wanted to do and I would have been okay with it. A few months go by and recently we went to a concert together. She stayed the night and decided to stay the following day as well. We had an incredible time together all day. It felt like when we had first got together 10 years ago. 2 days after, I was ghosted for the rest of the week and occasionally get a message that she's sick and will talk later. I finally got a response a week later only to be told that she has met someone and that she should not communicate or see me. Basically, NC, which I have learned of by searching subs here that she's in. She was taking care of the accounting for my business and I have no access. She has borrowed large sums of money and still has the engagement ring I gave her as well as keys to my house, and tells me that she is not going to talk to me or see me because she's met someone. I feel as though I've been hit by a truck and incredibly stupid for having trusted someone this much. Even after catching her in the lies about her trip and her choosing to move out rather than telling me what really happened. I can't even explain why I still was hoping to correct the situation. I am very new to Reddit and ironically, she is the one that told me I should join because she's always here. Thanks, Reddit, for teaching me about ADHD and infidelity. Honestly, I do feel if it wasn't for this, I might be married to someone that would have destroyed my life later on. Sorry for the rant. If you've read this far, I appreciate it and I hope nobody else ever goes through what I am. If any of this sounds familiar or you have questions, PM me. She's probably with somebody's husband on here and I would love to fill in the rest of the blanks. Reader comment: if you have documentation of the money, press charges. At the very least, communicate that since she has keys to your house, you will need to file a restraining order. But frankly, if you go after her over the money, you will get her attention, and the attention of the new boyfriend, who probably doesn't know she was still spending the night with you. Original poster, thanks for the advice and for taking the time to read. I do have a meeting set with her dad to bring me my keys and the ring, so that will be a start. I'm sure she will see this post. After finding her username and posts of her planning her cheating, I sent her an award. Reader comment: screenshot that stuff, congrats on getting the ring back. I'd still change the locks. Original poster, I've screenshot everything. Even conversations between her and people on here giving her advice on how to lie to me, then telling everyone how I believed it. As much as it sucks to see, it is nice to have zero doubt. Reader comment: she planned the cheating. So that means she bragged about it on Reddit. She has zero shame and she put a lot of thought into her betrayal. Rather than lie, it would have been easier to break up and remain friends. Also, don't trust her to just hand out the keys. For all you know, she could have made several copies and gave one to her lover. Change the locks and take her to court for the ring and the money she stole. Original poster, the only saving grace is that she has really upstanding great parents that are in contact with me and seem to want to help. I have cameras, so if she feels like coming back, it would be my pleasure to call the police. Oddly enough, the subreddit she was on seems to encourage this type of behaviors. That was an eye-opener to me. Pretty amazing how they give tips on where to hide stuff on your phone and all kinds of tactics. I'm pretty sure the cheating is with someone she found in that group, so it won't be long before it will all come back to her. Reader comment: be ready when it doesn't work out with the new person. She's going to come back crying about mistake and misunderstandings. Don't fall for it. She drugs you along while she shopped for someone else. Original poster, I'm counting on it. Not a chance of me falling for that. Story 3. Remembering sexual partners. My wife and I were going through old memorabilia and came across her diary from high school. She didn't mind I read it, so I glanced through a few pages. It had mostly stories about high school crushes and girl drama, but then I came across a post that didn't make sense to what I knew to be true. We had a summer romance during this time, went our separate ways, then eventually married 10 years later. She told me about her sexual partners before and where I was among them, but the diary tells another story. I asked her about it, and she fumbled her way through the answer, tried to gaslight me and thinking I misunderstood, and eventually she came clean. I wasn't number 1 but was, I think, number 2. Yeah, number 2. I always thought we were each other's first and I always cherished that as part of our connection. I asked why she lied to me for so many years and she said it was a white lie she didn't think mattered. while we are now very happily married, 3 kids, beautiful home and amazing families. This lie is throwing me for a loop. What other white lies has she told? The fact she couldn't answer the question quickly, I'm pretty sure I'm not number 2 either. Another white lie to protect me. I get it, but everything she's told me is all of a sudden a question for me and would just like her to be upfront and would appreciate the honesty instead, and I can put this behind me. I know I don't have a problem remembering my partners and their orders, so her less than definitive answer is what's bothering me. I know I love her more than anything and I should just get over this, but I can't help but feel betrayed. As much as I'm carrying on as normal, this is still stewing with me in my own thoughts. I know we'll need to discuss the topic again, but looking for some help on how to approach and get over this. I know I will, because in the grand scale of things, it's old news. Just having a tough time right now looking at her the same way and need some advice on how to get through it. TL, doctor, wife let me read her diary. Found out she lied to me that we did not share our first times together. Reader comment, there was a guy on this blog a few weeks ago who had a similar experience and it devastated him. He was ready to divorce, etc. I reached out to him and talked to him, and he and his wife are trying to work it out. I think they probably will. But it was a huge shocker to him. I really recommend you do not take that approach. You can easily talk yourself into a very, very dark place as he did. What made it worse for him was he and his wife didn't talk for a week or so after the discovery, so he was able to work up some really bad thoughts. A simple reality here is that at some point you made it clear to your wife that her being a virgin was a huge BFD for you. So, this is really on you, not on her. You need to apologize to her that you did not provide her with the feeling that she could be totally honest with you and that you set so much store by this. The fact is that being a virgin on your wedding night is horrendous, the sex is usually awful, and you take a huge risk for sexual incompatibility for the rest of your marriage. Virginity in adults is not really something to be celebrated, and it is a wonder of wonders that you and your wife are sexually satisfied and happy with each other, since that is not as common as you would think with people who were virgins who then go on to have an LTR. The fact is that your wife discovered she liked sex as a result of her first time with someone else, so it made it a lot easier for you. Otherwise, she likely wouldn't have even been dating you at all. You actually owe her first boyfriend a thanks, but it's your ego and toxic masculinity that is keeping you from understanding this. Original poster, I think you might have missed something in the story, and calling out my toxic masculinity made me snicker. She didn't say she was a virgin on our wedding night. She told me when we were teenagers sharing our first time, and continued to tell me that we were each other's first when we connected again years later and throughout the duration of our marriage. I'm not mad about her not being a virgin. I'm disappointed I was never told the truth even after having so many intimate conversations about it. While I get it, she was trying to impress and eventually protect me, I can't help questioning everything else as a potential lie. Overcoming this mistrust and dishonesty in our marriage is the